Hey, what's up? Baby, third time's a charm. Doing a live with Yanniq. Hopefully we got it this time. Everything looks like it's moving fast.
All right, let's hope. Can you hear me?
Third time's a charm. Third time's a charm.
This time it's gonna work.
So
Yes. This time it seems to work.
so yeah.
Good.
So we're coming together. We met in San Diego, and now you're in Switzerland.
Yes.
Yes.
Back, back,
How? Go ahead.
back in the first world.
Yeah.
I've been to San Diego. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think Corona fucked it up even more.
How so?
I don't know, just crazy people everywhere. People living on the streets and so on. Yeah,
Yeah.
unheard of here. Like I mean, we also have people on the streets, but yeah, it's not the same as in America.
Yeah.
There's always this underlying negative feeling. I don't know, like that you can't enjoy. The all the I don't know, all the temptations and opportunities and bars and whatever. Because every 5 minutes you walk past the block, you see someone that's really struggling. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the main thing is that causes homelessness, or what do you think they mainly need?
They just need they need shelter and food. That's what they need. Yeah. And of course here they're being given that they have the nationality and given that they actually you know get it. Yeah. Then here they're being given that by the state, by the governments. So it's just the bare minimum. But they get shelter, they get food. Even they get a little bit of culture, and that's at least covering all the nationals in each country. But then there's a lot of people coming from other countries like Eastern European that are here illegally, and you might see them on the streets, or let's say in Switzerland or Germany, Swiss people or German people that are just opted out. They don't want to get help. They're not even clear in their mind there to get help, or whatever. So, but overall, it's not at all the same vibe. In America, it's like everywhere. It's like there's lost people everywhere, and so you can really see that it is it is really also a systemic, I think, prob.
I met with a homeless person that not a homeless person, somebody that worked with a company that catered to homeless people, and I asked him the same question, like what do they need, and he said that a lot of it's substance abuse and also it's mental issues.
Exactly, yeah.
Those are the primary situations that put somebody in that situation, and usually it's after a parent dies that they get to that point that they're homeless too.
Yeah, but I think it is all um how do you say that, like it's all intertwined, interconnected, whatever. Because imagine you have real issues. You can't get your act together, and at least if you have a home or you have food, then you won't lose your mind as quick. If you're on this,
Yeah,
if you're cold, you're gonna rather like take drugs or alcohol, because then you're gonna this shit.
I think we're good now.
Can you see me?
Yeah, you're good now. Go ahead. Go back to what you
I
were
can
saying.
I can see myself right now. Is that not
Okay, but just talk. I can hear you and see you.
okay? All right. So yeah, basically what I said is, if you're on the street and you're cold and you have alcohol, it's your heater, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue. Alcohol is one of the worst drugs. So yeah. So even that, and it's just about
It's
dignity also, like it's also about safety, you know. Like I remember I was in in public in Pacific Beach and sleeping, and then there's this really, it sounded like a demon. It was horrific, like in a movie, like walking by, like, you cheated on me, and something like this, you know, like somebody, like a homeless person, really telling his, you know, his life story in the middle of the night. And you know, like the fear that this instilled in all the people that were listening, and you know, women that are, you know, walking at night or whatever, you know, it's like all about safety as well, right? I don't know, like people
Yeah, yeah.
safe then.
I wish I would have known about this conversation when you're in town, because I have a program called Operation Water where I go into to homeless people, and I kind of ask that question, but there is no algorithm called a woman, and there's no algorithm called a man. There are certain patterns that a man has and a woman has, but there's also patterns that a homeless person has. But individually, um, it's good to ask people what they need.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you, yeah, 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 of course.
And I remember seeing on Facebook that a lot of people, adults, were posting, "What do you think teenagers need?" And everybody's like posting stuff, and I was like, "Well, ask a teenager." Like,
Absolutely.
that's the best way. And I change from moment to moment. There's certain things that stay consistent, but sometimes I want something, and sometimes I want other things. I think it's important to keep that dialogue open and keep it ongoing. And
Is
part of the operation.
is
Go ahead.
what you want, what you need, you know, that's the question always also, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I always find the balance of that, and the goal is to empower them to be able to find it themselves. And I think the third or fourth time that I did Operation Water, there was a guy that had spent time in some wars, and I could really tell that he was all about helping other homeless people. There's a real strong sense of community within homeless, but there also is, you leave your shit, I'll steal your shit, because possession. I mean, there's also that, but there's also a sense of community, um, probably more so than people that aren't homeless. And
Yeah.
I found I found this one guy, and he used to own a cell phone shop, and then he got divorced from his wife, but now he makes money fixing bikes, like finding little parts. So he lost some tools, so we gave him some money to buy some tools. And because I mean, you get to that point, and you get cold or whatever the situation, and any of us that would be put in that situation, and all of a sudden he gives that one thing away that would help him generate money to live a more sustainable life. And yeah, so that was one of the things that we do. And the reason why I named it Operation Water, because the first time I went down there, it was really overwhelming for me. What you're talking about is like that enjoyment, losing the enjoyment because you like are around so many homeless people. I don't necessarily experience that, but when I was going in there to help, I really felt overwhelmed. And then I was like, no, this is, you designed this to empower them. So I bought some
Just
water. A homeless person
overwhelmed,
go with me.
overwhelmed, overwhelmed as in it sucked energy out of you, or overwhelmed as a positive.
Like I was like, how, like, I don't have enough money to solve these problems. Like that type of overwhelmment. I was like, it's like, yeah, it's like it was,
Got to multiply the fish.
yeah, for sure. Um, so I was thinking of a meme that I saw recently, and then I'll go back into my story, that they said if Jesus came today, then everybody would say, is like, do you have anything is for vegan? Is that bread gluten free?
Yeah, that's why.
And that's
That's why it
like,
should come 2,000 years ago to not deal with all that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So going back to the story, I went and bought some water, and I had a homeless person go with me to bring it. and then I paid another homeless person to pass out the water. And then the aim is like, I go, this is a loan, but you don't have to pay it back. You have to invest it in your community.
I'm glad you didn't say I had another homeless person pay the water.
Pay for the water. Yeah, yeah. That's the goal.
That's how you become a billionaire.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the consistency, and that's the thing that I do it. And I have a something that I started 3 years ago as far as branding, and then I rebranded it, and it's called the JediLawyer.com.
Mm-hmm.
And as I build that, I want to get attorneys out there, and using their attorney mind to help the homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily from the law standpoint, but at being builders, I think attorneys are more of destruction than building.
Zev's girlfriend is becoming an attorney now, so you could ask him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and she's definitely open. I think I'm 100% sure she's open for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send you some stuff on it. So are we good on homeless? Or you want to? Oh, have you ever seen the movie Seattle is Dying?
Seattle is Dying?
Yeah.
Not sure. I don't think so.
Okay, Seattle is Dying is based on, and I've talked to a lot of people from Seattle. It's Seattle for the longest time it's like one of the best places for homeless people, but they don't teach you how to fish. They give you a certain amount of money, and a lot of people are do drugs and other things. So, but it's made there's a lot of homeless people in a lot of different areas. It's way worse than San Diego. Like if you take little places and everything like that, it's way worse. And there's a documentary called Seattle is Dying.
Okay.
Based on the homeless one. And I know in a lot of like San Francisco and the Silicon Valley, they're having a lot of real strong problems with homelessness, and they're trying to get the politicians to help, and a lot of different big organizations where it's sad, but a lot of these groups are monetizing taking care of homeless. So they don't necessarily want to eradicate it.
Yeah, it's always the problem with all. It's the same with pharmaceutical everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
The problem is your business, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's best to go. I did this. I relooked at. I'm not I'm a capitalist by nature, but I consider myself a social responsible capitalist.
Yeah. A barefoot capitalist.
A barefoot capitalist. But I looked at Che Guevara.
Yes.
And when he was in medical school, he went to Central America, I think it was, and he was able to see a lot of the things that you and I would not like. And then he finishes up medical school, and then his life expands, and then at some point he goes to violence. So he's a doctor, but he's on the battlefield, and he's the strong man for Castro.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some similarities to a Bob Marley, early Bob Marley, and Che Guevara. And I think, well, maybe that's why Bob died young. Because we all have that. And what was that?
Hey, what?
What was that?
So he wouldn't end up like shit.
Yeah. For sure, certain things. And I had an attorney that his family was from Cuba, and he didn't even want to have the conversation. But we have to acknowledge that we are both dark and light, as John Lennon said, that we all have a spark of Christ and of Hitler in us.
I mean, you're dark, I'm white.
Yeah. But we all have a spark
actually
of
actually an interesting one.
Right?
But I was telling a friend this recently, you know, in culture, how the arc, of course, because of the night, and the night is where crime happens, right? Dark is associated with fear and with yeah, with the negative side, and white with the positive side in literature everywhere, and
Yeah.
how that must have all, you know, been like all of this, which is just the coincidence, I guess, you know, has created all of, also is also probably part of why racism came about, you know. I think, you know, because of the fear of the darkness, you know. I don't know, but what do you think about this?
Well, the term xenophobia means fear of. I think it's fear of people different
Yeah.
than us. Um, and because I heard xenophobia used towards Chinese people a lot, and I was like, xenophobia. I was like, that's kind of racist because Zen is like that word, and my dad said no, it doesn't have anything to do with that word.
Okay.
But
No,
but
you know, it's the foreigner.
it's the difference because we'll always have that common enemy. We'll always find that enemy, and it's sad, but that common enemy is the thing that brings us together the most,
Yeah, yeah. That's
whether it's real, or imagined. And it usually has to get to a certain point where we hit our threshold that we like say, oh shit, like I say Donald Trump, he's the reason why the Me Too movement was launched,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because um, people knew things happen. They were able to talk about it. They weren't comfortable enough to get out there and march. But when it was thrown in front of their face that much, then that's what woke people up, because people are too comfortable, because being comfortable is like one of the most, it gets in the way more than anything,
Yeah, yeah.
consistently, for a lot of people.
That's why we all got to focus on the boogeyman. If we all focus on the boogeyman or on aliens, you know, then we have an imaginary enemy. We're all together. Okay. We channel our energy. Yeah. No, but I see
Yeah.
like
But I think ultimately, and I want to go back to Chet, that the situation with Che Guevara, and the reason why I brought it up is because I noticed it's like, it's not socialism, it's not capitalism, it's not any of these things. It's fucking humans. Like, it's us
yeah,
that
yeah,
you could
yeah.
have a day that was very, very, and I don't even want to necessarily name it, but I'll just like throw it out there, but like pure, without me trying to define what pure is. If you had a pure dictator, he could have like the best, or a pure king, he could have the best. He could look out for his people. He could be thinking. He could be heart centered. I think all that stuff doesn't matter. I think we're just arguing over a lot of like a lot of shit that's just separation.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we spend so much time like arguing over little fucking shit.
Yes, I know. I know. For me, that's also like a frustrating thing. Like I'm all for Me Too and so on, but I think like fucking people are dying of hunger, you know. And we're talking about these things, or also Corona. Like how many people? 2 million people died. Okay, I'm not saying, you know, like it's all good, but you know, nobody talks about the 6 million that die every year of smoking. Nobody talks about that, and nobody does anything about it. Nobody, you know, is so uptight about it with, you know what I mean? So there's so many. If you, yeah, it's like every year a Holocaust. Imagine that, you know, and nobody does anything about it, you know, or at least they should talk about
And
it. Can't hear you. Yeah, I think now I can hear you. Yeah, now I should be able to hear you.
yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
What's the last thing you heard?
just the Holocaust and the fact that I feel that they attack the people that do talk about certain things. Martin Luther King, JFK, like a lot of these people that are speaking of good, they're always attacked in some way, and they're usually killed by their own people.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. In history, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah. And no, what I was saying is like there's a total discrepancy. Is that an English word? It's a German word.
Yeah, yeah.
Dissonance between topics like what is in the media and what is being talked about. Like smoking causes 6 million deaths every year, you know? So it's like 3 times as many deaths in 1 year that Corona caused in 2 years. Or hunger. Every year there's more people dying of hunger than in the last 2 years of Corona. So why do we not talk about it? Why do we not solve, or at least also, you know, put energy in those topics? Or we talk about Me Too. This is concerning us. It's our society. It's our society. Okay, I'm all for it. But it's like, where are our priorities? You know, people are dying of hunger, you know, and we can do something about it. But we're talking about ourselves and cultural stuff, you know. So it's like we're in this bubble, you know. The people in the third world must think we're totally crazy, you know. Yeah, that's what I think. That's
Yeah.
like, we are the billionaires. We always criticize the billionaires, but we are the billionaires, you know. We are in the same bubble, a level underneath, you know, but we're in the same fucking bubble, and we're not realizing it. We're all so disillusioned. We're all in an illusion, you know. So
And there's so I was talking with I don't know if you know I also do Lyft, but I was talking with one of my Lyft passengers, and I was talking how at the Starbucks that I met you at, I talked over that I know of at least 3 students had a suicide and 1 professor.
mm-hmm.
And I told her that I was like, you know what? I go, it's a pretty simple thing. I go, one of the big things is that we're so distracted with a lot of stuff. And we don't really have time to like look into another human's eyes and like tell them, reassure them of what they need to hear. We just don't we just have so many distractions in the phone, even though it's beautiful that we're connecting from across the globe, having a meaningful conversation that hopefully people will benefit from for a long period of time. We're distracted in so many ways, and we're so comfortable, and we're attacking the billionaires, we're attacking women, we're attacking with our words, that we're not focusing on what we need to fucking do, what we need to change.
Yeah, yeah, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly it. And the craziness is, you know, like I was in San Diego, and it was all this vacation was all about. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was all about me, but it was really just a vacation for me. You know, I wasn't thinking about the homeless or anything, but I was walking past them every day. You know, and you know what was the most fulfilling thing in all of this time was the day when I left. I still had like a a bag with clean clothes, you know, socks. I know homeless, they always need clean underwear, socks, and so on. So they don't care whether so if you have 2 different socks, you know, like that's perfect. Collect them, give them to the homeless. They don't care about the colors. If they have 2 different colors, they love having clean socks. And there was only 3 pieces of clothes or something. So just 3. And I just gave it to this. I think it was the same guy that screamed this weird shit, and I gave it to him walking past. It was the most fulfilling thing I did in all of my holidays. It felt so good for me, you know. It felt good for me. It was like, wow, you know, why do you do that not more often? So you feel good, you know. Like, why do you always, you know, like walk past, you know? And you know, it's not like you don't have to give money. Don't hide behind those excuses. Yeah, but they're gonna drink with it. No, ask them what they need. Buy them something to eat. You know, you can. There's other ways. You don't have to give them money. You know, so it's just an excuse, and then you will realize actually this is one of the most fulfilling things you can do for yourself. You know, feel good about yourself. We're wired.
You know what?
We're loved. You know, so at the end of the
You know what it does. You know what it does, and why? Because I used that, and sometimes I am like that. Um, it doesn't feel good because sometimes it rubs off on you. Because people don't want to see that this could be me too, and on some level it is you too.
Of course, yeah.
And people people feel like it could rub off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also I'm the same way. Like I had a situation that a homeless guy asked me for money yesterday, and he was on drugs like big time, and he was like whispering like a child. He could barely talk,
Mm-hmm.
and I listened to him, looked into his eyes, and then I just told him I didn't have any money, and he believed me, and but he wasn't upset at me, but he wanted it. But that connection and that human connection and making eye contact was with him was just as powerful as giving him money.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hearing them, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Having a conversation, sitting down, and I mean, it's horrible. Actually, one of the friends that's in here with us, Samuel, I remember I was in Australia and we were also helping the homeless in Australia. And one time we took one with us in the car, and I swear, man, we almost died. We almost threw up. It was so disgusting. You can't imagine, like the smell. We're the car. It was cold. We all had our heads like out of the window like this because it was smelling so disgustingly.
Yeah.
And then when you came home and you washed your hair and it's still in your hair. And I think this is one of the worst things that working with the homeless, this smell. You can't, like, it's terrible. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's one of those things that who's to define what's good smell and what's bad smell. A lot of that is or it controls society, but also
this is one of the
it's
things I think that is not relative. Especially because I remember.
there's
story.
Like what you're talking about. I acknowledge that I would have been in the same place, no question about it. But also there's some things that are just like judgments that are picked by. There's lots of control that's in there, and a lot of the mainstream deodorants and everything aren't good for you. They're not healthy for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that stuff is by design.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Mm-hmm. To create more, to create more problems, to create more problems, create more solutions, sell the solutions. Yeah.
And also a lot of those situations, and I'm not talking about everybody that has tattoos. I'm not against tattoos, but some of those things that smell and a lot of different things is a manifestation of resistance to society.
Yeah. Oh, I totally think that's true for the homeless, because they're in, they have the truth. You're the person that's walking by, so you're the one you're not helping. It's not them. You know what I mean? So that they're like, they know how bad we are. That we're not taking care of them. They know that like how humans don't care in a way, because society doesn't even care enough to give them a home. That's disgusting, actually. And so of course, then there's like what do they care about people? People are assholes for the, it's obvious to them, except a few exceptions. They get the beautiful people. Actually, those people will meet the most beautiful people, because they will meet the people that approach them and help them. Those that are, like willing to take that step. So it's a way to get rid of all the wrong friends.
Yeah. I would say that I think there has to be some measures in society. I don't think that we're at the level of enlightenment that everybody can freely do whatever they want with no laws.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, we need a lot of thing before that. Yeah.
but I think we have too many laws for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, Even for the fact of, and as I said, I'm a socially responsible capitalist, but all the control of, I mean, 100 years ago or more, I don't know the exact number, that you could just like get a patch of land and I think you could still do this in Mexico. You just get a patch of land and just build a house on it.
Hmm.
Um, the fact that the government says you can have this amount of land and you have to have all the building permits and all that stuff, which to a certain extent is good, but also it's very, very controlling. So a lot of the
So
stuff
say that
is
again. I didn't get it. Get that? Like, what's controlling about doing what?
just like the fact that the government says, okay, you can only have this patch of land. It has to be monitored. You have to get a mortgage, which
Oh yeah,
raises the price of a house cost
you have to pay
because like
property. You know.
it was created. It was
Yeah,
created because if everybody was just getting land and building their own houses wouldn't cost as much as they cost.
of course not. Yeah.
And there's an incentive from the government. That's why they give you get tax breaks for writing off your interest on your homes here in the U.S. Um, like I remember I was in Mexico working on a project, and I said to the lady, because like, could I buy an RV and just like park it on the beach and like live here? And she goes, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there's more freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It also comes with more you know, insecurity and so on. I guess you know. But yeah. Uh,
I remember it was after you, but I remember like a lot of German students, like separate German students, would always ask me, "Is like, if I jaywalked here, how much would it cost?" And I was like, they wanted to know like how much of a risk they were taking to jaywalk, and to
yes.
know like it was worth it, because I think for certain reasons, like that freedom is like so important that they want to they have it in their mind like how much they're willing to take that risk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I,
I
I
goes
do that
back
in a different
to
way.
frontier
Well, go
spirit.
ahead.
Sorry,
Say it again.
this goes even back to the frontier spirit. Americans are people that took the risk to take a ship from Europe, like you know, like or later maybe a plane, yeah. But they're all people that have either in their genes or in their culture or whatever. They're all people. They're risk takers. So all risk ventures like capital, yeah, like even in the world of capital, you know, California, all the companies that pop up, all of this is that it's a culture that is um, taking risks, you know. And Europe is a culture that doesn't take risks. Like all the country I am living in right now, Switzerland, is actually the whole business model is based on not taking risks. It's exactly the opposite of California. California and Switzerland are probably like both. They're like you know the Boston. What's it called? You know the cash. I think it's cash because there's four quadrants. It's a economic principle. Anyway, so one is going for low cost, like for example, Aldi or a supermarket that's very cheap, that goes for low price and large quantities. Some
Yeah,
another
yeah.
for quality and so on. So I think Switzerland is on that very corner where it's all about security, safety, not taking risks. So what are the businesses that are big here? It's banking, because you can put your money here and you will always have it safe. You know, it's a pharmaceutical, which is, you know, medication. You want to be sure that everything is checked. You know, like, and it's yeah, it's these kind of businesses that are big here. And in California, it's all about new ideas. You know, Uber, Facebook, all these companies that popped up in the last years, Google, whatever, all about, you know, creating new ideas, taking risks, you know, putting it all out there and taking the risk to lose it all and everything. Yeah. So yeah.
What they just did a movie about, I don't know his name, the guy that started Uber. Um, that I think it's coming out soon.
But that's great. Say that.
Yeah, yeah. and he, I didn't know much about him. Just like in the little trailer, he was a immense risk taker.
Okay, I know nothing about him. Yeah.
Yeah. He sounds like like way bigger risk taker than Jobs
Okay.
and the other guy.
Yeah,
So
they all don't sound like Swiss or German people. I'm more of an exception. I'm more like that's why I was drawn to California too. Yes.
yeah.
Failure also,
And I thought I thought you were. I mean, you're obviously good crazy like me, but your concept of not your concept of when you were talking about basic income.
Yeah, unconditional income. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 7, 8 years. I mean, like that. Then all of a sudden, Yang was talking about that running for president. I was floored. Because I just didn't see that.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was possible. And I think it might be my issue with humans, because I'm self-motivated, but I'm also motivated by my surroundings. I just know a lot of people that like they have that, all of a sudden they're just gonna be like in their house not doing anything. They just don't have the integrity for the follow through. I don't think these jobs, as much as and working so hard as we do, but also we don't need to just have a certain amount of income and do nothing. It's like, what's the balance for that? And it comes down to each individual person, and then also it has to do something that's balanced, that helps the rest of the whole society. Because I believe homelessness is a side effect of the control of what success is, and people, the system trying to force everybody to want the same things. Go ahead. I was kind of like on a tangent for a while.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Yes, and in San Diego, yeah, I'm assuming that a lot more people would start taking advantage, or would take advantage of it in the beginning, because there's a healing needed. There's healing needed. Some people just need to rest. Okay, yes, they would start. A lot of them would start smoking weed and not get their ass up, and yes, they would just abuse it. But think of Berlin. There is actually the unconditional basic income. Actually, is kind of the reality for. I told you there's a social system. The government takes care of somebody that doesn't have a job, gives them shelter, gives them food. So in Berlin, there's all these even young people that don't have jobs, and they just enjoy their life. But what have they built? People they don't never do nothing unless they're really like they need rest. They actually created the most amazing clubs in the world, the most amazing party scene in the whole world. Berlin has the most famous party scene in the world. The whole world comes to Berlin to party, with all of these crazy wooden structures and the most amazing clubs that are so creative, like not just a box, like in most cities where you go with a little bit of light, but really like a world, like a world in itself, where something to discover, with ponds and outdoor and towers, and like really like the Disneyland for grown-ups, and all sustainable, like all sustainable, like because they're all into the vegan and all of this, so all made out of wood, and it's so amazing, and so, and that's one thing I want to say. And the other thing is, like, 90% of the people that you ask, and I don't know in what nation they ask this question, but 90% of the people, if you ask them, would people be lazy if they get an unconditional basic income, and 90% say people would be lazy. Like, most people would be lazy. And then if you ask people, would you be lazy? What would you do if you had an unconditional? And 90% say they would not sit on their you know, like they would not rest. They would actually do this. Most of them would do entrepreneurial things. They would start up companies, which is in this day and age, the best thing that can happen to a country. New companies being built. And so because the economy is so fast paced that actually with new creations, with new ideas, the government can benefit the most, make the most taxes at the end of the day, because out of 10 or 20 ideas, there will be one idea that really monetizes. And so, yeah, so I think the reality is a bit, that's the general issue with society. The problem is trust. People don't trust each other. That's the problem. Yeah. And I think the 10% that need rest, they need rest, you know, like let them, and you know, like every person that doesn't work doesn't create CO2. So everybody that's moving, driving, everybody destroys the environment. So let the machines do it, you know. We need to stop working, because if we continue to move, and like if everything keeps on moving, the planet's going to be destroyed. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was giving a ride to an economist who is his economist who deals with sustainability, and I asked him if the world was overpopulated,
Mm-hmm.
and he confirmed a belief that I had, that the world's not overpopulated. It's overpopulated by the way we live currently.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, they say,
That's why.
sorry, yeah, go
Go
for it.
ahead. In the beginning, I thought
No.
Corona was a modern, and I still do. I think it was a modern day Noah's Ark.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually, when I met you, I was going through my own for five plus years. I was going through my own coronavirus uh,
Yeah.
pandemic of just like really slowing down, putting everything in front of me that was wrong with society, and channeled into shifting my life and living in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Like the place I live in right now, I pay $250 a month in San Diego.
Seriously, man, how did you do that?
Yeah, I don't have a bathroom, don't have kitchen, but I have a little area that I run my podcast in. Got my little bed here.
Nice.
And I virtually can, on one day in the weekend, I can make my rent for the month.
That's awesome. Crazy. I remember when I met you, you were in your room there close to SDSU, just on a mat. And, you know,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of years back then I thought, what in the world, you know, and then a couple of years later, I'm like, yeah, you know, I've listened to some spiritual teachers and so on. I think you understand a lot because I think life can be a lot easier if you're a minimalist, really, a lot nicer.
Even and I could go back and forth on him, and I don't know Elon Musk. He's selling a lot of his stuff and minimizing it because he doesn't want the distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Steve Jobs always wore the same thing too.
What do you mean? Ah, okay. Yeah, because he always wears those. Oh no, he wears those shirts with a roll here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's called
Mark Zuckerberg also wears those gray shirts all the time. I think this is great. Like, I think it's good that they broke with that stupid tradition.
I believe anytime you make a decision, you suffer,
Mm-hmm.
and there's lots of wasted energy with decisions, and a lot of those decisions are in our mind, opposed to, and when there's more thinking going on in our heart and our gut, and
Mm-hmm.
actually there's more thinking in our individual cells than there is in our brain. And that suffering causes a lot of conflict, and it causes people to be more competitive, and then instead of collaborative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's the question is, have you listened to Eckhart Tolle?
Yes.
How much of him have you listened to, or how much do you remember?
I have a good idea of him, but which part did you want to go to?
No, it's the discovery of the last 2 years. I've been listening to him for the last 2 years,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
stopped listening to him because I always feel caught. Like I keep on listening. I listened to it one time. Damn, yeah, I did that. Like, why am I so stupid? Why I know this, or
So I was kind of being silent as we were waiting, and Yanniq was talking about Eckhart Tolle. Um, I don't know the exact point, but there's a point that Eckhart Tolle didn't do anything for many, many years and was able to just sit present on a park bench. And lots of people, I think he was in Germany, and lots of people thought that he was homeless. And he just was able to slow down and look at things in the moment. And that's actually what I did when I went through my pandemic for 5 years willingly, as I was creating a successful website and creating a successful website and a successful lots of different things. Yanniq asked me how he gets back, um, but only working a few hours a day, but spending time like asking myself what the world needs and what am I missing in my life. So, Yanniq, oh, there we go. We should. I actually started the thing called the social networking experiment. Where I started with Gandhi, and I asked myself, would how would Gandhi use social media for social change? And anytime that somebody came to me, say it was a wheelchair, I asked myself, was like, well, would I be able to run my business if I was in a wheelchair? And then without judging, I would connect and channel into how I would need to shift it. And then I would move with that solution. And a lot of times it helped me to not force things. It looks like Yanniq is unable to join. So I think we're good for now. Interesting conversation. I guess next time we're going to have to listen to what he wants to say about Eckhart Tolle. It appears that a lot of people are enjoying this conversation. I know I am. So goodbye to you, Yanniq, and everybody else. And until next time.